How's it going? David Satori. How you
Hey,
doing?
Mr. Bill. Good, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, it's been a long time. I think the last time we hung in person might have been on that tour we did in like 2017.
Yeah. Wow, with Beats.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was I have some fun memories of that one. Backstage just goofing off and just getting wild.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, right. It was the first and still to this day only bus tour I've ever done. And I still think that like that is the way to tour. It's so much easier than flying. It's like I was just like at that time I was drinking a lot, so I was just like in the venue. I'd just get like play the show, get hella drunk, and then I would just go to sleep on the bus, and then wake up the next day like fuck, where are we? And then get off the bus, and I'm like shit, I'm already at the venue. That's awesome.
Yeah. I agree. It's we Beats Antique toured in buses for many years. We bought a bus. And I remember like when I was in college, I was like, what's it like being a touring musician? I was like, oh yeah, they cruise around in buses. So I bought a bus like coming out of college and just converted it and just sort of got ready to live in buses. And I've owned like 7 buses.
Oh
So
shit. What are the
yeah,
logistics of buying a bus? Is it much the same as just buying a car, but just more expensive and whatnot? Or
but yeah, pretty much, man. It just everything's bigger and just sort of like intimidating at first, but then a lot of the mechanics are like in a way simpler because they're like big diesel engines and they're sort of like these um they're it's like the chassis, what do you call it? The thing you obviously I'm not like a versed mechanic, but I know that diesels compared to like the cars and all the electronics that they have now, it's a lot less intimidating for like a nuts and bolts mechanic to fix something.
Mm.
As far as the computerized computers or cars that are now happening. Okay, I need a little more caffeine. We're just starting this thing. My brain's just starting to go. But I guess what it brings up for me is that um if you want to tour and like you want to live like that life and be on the road, I recommend like buying a tour vehicle, especially if you're like an independent artist, and get like a Sprinter, put a bed in the back, and if you want to tour, like go for it. Like it's going to be worth it if you invest in yourself and you really want to go there, because we had success doing it, and that bus like ran for 7 years straight, and we just toured hard in it. And it's a gamble. Like you
Mm.
renting, other people hook it up for you, they fix it, but it's expensive to rent. You know,
Mm.
you don't have to deal with the headache. It's definitely like a balance, right?
Yeah, it's expensive, I imagine, to buy a bus as well. I've never actually looked into it, but I got to imagine it's like a like 30, 40 grand investment probably, right?
Yeah, it can be. You can also, I got like the nuts and bolts of like just a big old Greyhound bus for like 10K.
Mm.
And then we ripped it out and we built like a custom in there. And we spent a lot of money on it, definitely. Probably a little too much because it was our first time doing it, but you can do it. You could probably do it on a basic level for, under 50K, but it's a lot of money for a bus. Yeah.
Yeah, I
If
think
you're
for a lot of independent artists, they hear that amount of money and they're like, yeah,
yeah,
that's not happening.
right. And a lot of independent artists, especially I think a lot of your crowd are producers and DJs. They don't need a
Mm.
bus.
Yeah, that's also
But,
true. Yeah, Beats was a band, so it's kind of different.
yeah, I mean, we had dancers and like a full on production and crazy shows. So it's like you can do like a Sprinter, like you could have a Sprinter with a bed in the back, and even if you're doing like bigger size venues, you could pull a trailer with that Sprinter
Mm.
with lights and like LED walls and stuff. And I'm
Mm.
just I don't know how. Yeah, I didn't expect to get into the bus stuff, but that's funny you started there. It's like, yeah, I just want to encourage people to go for it and get, like, don't wait for someone to do it. If you want to live that life, like, get a van and just go for it. 'Cause
Mm.
we were just on tour with Dirtwire, and our opener had a Sprinter, and he had a nice setup with a bed in the back, and and he had a friend driving. So it's like what you're saying, just show up to the venue and so you wake up at the venue, you know?
Yeah, that's the other thing to consider if you have a bus is you have to pay a driver, because I made the mistake once of doing a tour in a Sprinter van and not buying a driver. And so and like two other people basically had to do all the driving on a 35-day tour that went like all the way up the west coast of America, all the way through Canada, all the way down the east coast of America, through the south, and then all the way back to, like, it was a big run, like around the whole perimeter of America basically, and then back through America as well. And yeah, that was a mistake. After that tour, I was like, I never want to do any shows ever again. And then I think the next tour I did was that one with Beats, actually, where I was like, actually, okay, this is pretty easy.
Yeah, man, it's easy to burn yourself out on the road, you know. So it's like you gotta be. I think it's especially as you get older, you want to like. You got to be more careful with how you go out. But yeah, when you're like in your 20s and like early 30s, it's sort of like, let's just go crazy and do it. But yeah, man, that's the West Coast is are big drives too. So you got to like really know how far you can. Yeah, it's like there's like 10-hour drives, sometimes 8-hour drives, you know?
Yeah, and the logistics of it was interesting too. Like I remember we would get to venues and then your driver would get a hotel and then they would just go and sleep like all day / night until the show was over. So their sleep schedule must have been fucked, like, because they were driving all night and then basically sleeping all day in a hotel, right?
Yeah, definitely. They're nocturnal beings, man. And as you get, and we worked with drivers that were sort of not like when you get a professional tour bus and you rent it, you hire a driver with them and there's like union rules and they only can drive a certain amount of hours. But we got like sort of renegade drivers that would maybe go over the hours a little bit, but yeah, they only can go, I think it's like 7 hours or 6 hours without a break, and then they need a break. So you got to schedule your tour around the driver's schedule and how much they can really do safely, right? But yeah, man, it's like the world is changing, and I think people are gonna be going to shows more. So it's like, yeah, how do people tour by themselves and then independently and like do it on a budget? And I thought it'd be cool if like bands or maybe even labels went in on some sprinters or something. Or there's a guy here in Boulder, Colorado, where I'm at, that he had a management group and he bought a bus company. So he was like sort of trying to bring that together for a while, and I think it worked for a little bit. But yeah,
it's a risky endeavor. You think people are going to shows more? I feel like they're going to shows less.
Yeah,
I mean, electronic music in general is like bigger than it's ever been for sure. But I feel like everything is just so expensive. Like living is just so much more expensive these days. And I feel like that has, at least I've heard from a bunch of people that it's kind of hurt ticket sales. But to be honest, I have not looked at the numbers. So maybe the numbers are better than ever. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I just got back from basically like a 2-month run with Dirtwire. It was sort of our biggest run in a while. And it didn't feel like numbers were doing any better. Like I felt like they were pretty like similar, and in some markets, like you could tell it was harder for people. And this is literally right when we started bombing Iran, like just over the past 3 months. So it was just like people were like, yeah, when the war starts and the gas is like $5 a gallon, it was just crazy. Yeah, the gas sort of killed us on this tour, definitely. And the diesel, we were in a Bandigo. Have you seen those, a Bandigos? They're like the in between from like a Sprinter and a tour bus. They're like these big box trucks.
Box truck things. Yeah, I have seen those before. Are they good?
I mean, they're hard. They're bumpy. You're in the box truck, so if you have more room. It's like an RV, but they're bumpy as hell. So be prepared for the bumps. You know.
So like you just get woken up a ton while you're sleeping and whatnot.
Yeah. it's not an easy sleep. Like we probably slept more when the vehicle stopped.
Mm.
But then the East Coast roads are super bumpy, and the West Coast was like, way longer stretches and more straight, so easier to sleep on. But
Mm.
yeah, Bandigo is a bumpy ride. I don't know how to say it any other way.
Mm.
Yeah.
When you're touring with Dirtwire, are you also touring with like a tour manager and like people helping set up the gear and all this kind of stuff, or are you taking care of that and just paying for the driver and the truck?
Yeah, no, on this tour we always are traveling with a engineer front of house, and this front of house was able to tech for us and set up our stuff. I mean, we have a lot of instruments, but we also have a pretty simple setup. We got like a custom sound card rack set up with a big patch bay in the back, so it's just like boom boom boom, super simple snake patch on the back of the sound card, and then a couple microphones, and then setting up a couple instruments. So it's not like a drum set and like you know a bunch of stuff. So it's he set up our stuff like within like an hour and a half,
Mm.
and then he was able to run virtual. He would travel with his board too, and then he would be able to run virtual sound checks from the
Mm.
night before. He would record the night, and he'd have it all through the stem, so he could like dial the room, which is pretty cool.
Right, so
Yeah,
you didn't even have to rock up to sound check. You could just play the stems through the PA and then just
dude, we didn't even need to be. We could have just like been up there like pretending to play, and nobody would have known.
Sure.
From the night before, just like change the city banter. Nah, but
Sure.
yeah, man, yeah. So we play with Ableton session, pretty crazy Ableton session with a lot of routing. We do our own monitors, and then he just mixes us from front of house. So we have a driver, front of house, and tech, and then a driver, and a merch. So three crew people, and then me and Evan. We're touring as a duo right now for Dirtwire.
Yeah, that's still going to be super expensive to tour, I feel like. Like when I think about my costs for traveling for shows, it's like I need a flight, a hotel, and then sometimes a rental car, depending on the show and the whatever's happening. But even that, and then I guess like I got an Uber from here to the airport, and then from the airport back here, which are usually like $50 to $100 Ubers. So like even the costs on my one person show is like they're often over $1,000 just to get to and play a show. What does it roughly work out to be per show in terms of cost for you touring in one of these vans with 3 people? I guess it's 5 people, including you and Evan and all of that stuff. Does it work out to be more than $1,000 a show, or does it like kind of cost average out if you do like 30 shows in a row?
Yeah, so that's the benefit of doing a tour, right? Is like once you're on the road, all your costs go down because you're not flying and getting hotels. So we basically figured out for us that doing a tour in a vehicle like that you can sleep in, whether it's a tour bus or a Bandigo, it basically is the same amount as us getting like nice SUVs and hotels every night. So we can, but then that's, in my opinion, that becomes, depending on the drives, that becomes a headache too, of like, you get to the hotel after the gig at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then you can't go to sleep, right? Until like 3, sometimes maybe 4, because you're just sort of wired, for me personally. So, and then we got to wake up. We would have to wake up at like 7 or 8 sometimes. So that's only like 3 or 4 hours. And then with a Bandigo, you get to like, it's a rough night of driving because of the bumps. But when we get there, it stops, and then we can sleep for like 6 hours, and then 7 hours sometimes till sound check. So the cost was the same, but yeah, I guess like sort of estimate is like 1,000. If we're doing a fly date, it's like $1,000 to bring a crew person for their rate. their hotel, their
Like
yeah,
flights.
their flights, all their like sort of. But sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less. But so for fly dates, like about $1,000 per person. If you think about, we always go out the night before because of flights being crazy in the summer and like getting delayed, and we don't, and all the stress there. So we're always like flying in the night before a festival. And then yeah, so around $1,000 per person. So, and then for festivals, we really only do like we have just a engineer and then the two of us, so it's just 3 people going out. But yeah, it's expensive, right? Like we have to split the money as a duo, and we were a trio for a long time, and then I took a break. So me and Mark, the third member of Dirtwire, he's still with us producing. We sort of swapped, and so, but it's a financial thing too. It's hard to make money as a group.
Yeah, I feel like solo DJing is definitely probably the most cost-effective way to travel and play shows. But you do kind of lose something in the live element of it, I think. Though I think these days a lot of DJs are making up for that with just insane production and like crazy synced lighting and visual shows and this kind of thing. Because as you're playing the song, you have like perfect data to send out in perfect time with the song. Whereas with live playing, not so much. Like you can't really send MIDI out of a SARS to trigger a visual or something.
Well, you can. You like the technology is there. That's funny you say that. I have a SAWS with MIDI out. You want me to show it to you right now?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I want to show it to you. 1 second. One second. Let me get it.
Damn, the exact example that I came up with, and he's like, actually, that's wild.
Wait, I can't hear you. What? just because you said that, I got this SAWS right here. This is a custom SAWS, and then look at, we got MIDI.
It does have MIDI out. Damn.
We got MIDI out, and we got these little controllers on it. My buddy put in.
How does it convert the string into MIDI?
Okay, yeah. That is not happening. These basically would control effects.
Okay. So that's not what else. Yeah.
Right. But I feel like the tech is pretty much there. Like, check this out. Have you seen this guy? This is like called vocal. It has
the doubler thing.
Yeah, the doubler thing.
Yeah.
Again, like I haven't gone super deep into it, but I love the idea of it, like to just be able to convert audio to MIDI, and then how that could be in real time visual affecting because we have done tours with LED walls, and we didn't do it this last tour, but yeah, it's a cost thing. As when you're in a band, like we sort of want people to focus in on. We have so many instruments on stage that we want to, instead of like, it's sort of like, are they going to even be able to pay attention to what we're doing if there's a giant LED wall with insane visuals behind us, which we've done, which is cool, but we also want them to be like a lighting show where they can see that we're switching instruments and they're paying attention to that, and so that's the payoff for us as instrumentalists. Like, it's like distract them with crazy visuals, or like try to get them to sort of focus on what we're doing,
Yeah, that's funny. I'm the literal polar opposite. I tell the lighting people to do absolutely zero lights at all, like no stage lights, no venue lights, nothing. Just keep it as dark as possible. And then I just have the LED wall in the hopes that they will pay attention to that and not me.
Right. That's like a tipper approach too, right? It feels
yeah, like exactly. Yeah,
silhouette up against the like insane visuals.
Yeah, I think a lot of like studio people are just more that way. It's like, we're like studio rats. We belong in the studio. We don't belong in front of 10,000 people trying to like jump around and be a performer and get on the mic and all this kind of stuff. Whereas I feel like the stuff that you're doing is definitely more performative. Like you're a more like look at me rather than the visuals, which makes sense because you're doing stuff that you've spent like 40 or 30 years practicing.
Right. Yeah, and then at the same time, there's moments where we're like, I get that. I get that vibe though too, where yeah, we want people to be able to experience like the instruments and like because in a way that's becoming novel in our genre. And it was interesting. I thought there'd be like a bigger wave of the electroacoustic thing happening, and I don't feel like it's gotten that. It hasn't like blown up in a way, like right, like Beats Antique and Big Gigantic and um Eodo and Pretty Lights and Pretty Lights is still doing it on like now that he's back with like the full band and the mixture. But yeah, it's like the DJ world's blown up so massively in this time, and it's like, do people even care? Do the kids even want it? Like, do they even notice, or is it even in their mind? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they just like they're just so immersed in the bass and the visuals that like they're like, it doesn't matter if there's someone up there playing it, or I wonder.
Well, I think fundamentally, we're in the entertainment industry and people go to shows for entertainment, and it doesn't really matter how you feed them that entertainment so long as it's entertaining, right? So it's like if your form of entertainment is like look at me play this like weird instrument and like how well I can play it and all the cool things I can do with it, that's one form of entertainment. But another form is just like, don't look at me at all and instead look at this like fucking $80,000 like 8K wall that I'm spamming like massive 3D content in at like 240 FPS or something. It's like that is also entertaining because it's like not something that you see every day. And if the sound is also really good and all that kind of stuff, I think it's enough to look at and be like, wow, it's pretty hectic. It's like going to the Las Vegas Sphere or something. It's like, if you like see something like that, it like there doesn't need to be somebody on there playing an instrument for you to be like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
That's a good example because there's bands playing the Sphere, like right. Fish just did a run there, and I think No Doubt is in there right now, and it's not. You're not really watching them. You're watching this like insane visual experience, and I think that's just going to keep evolving. Our sound guy just did a show at the Mission Ballroom in Denver for a Avatar. I think it's like this. It's like this. I think it's from Korea. I don't know. Like. But it's literally just an animation, and they've created a system with the audience where the audience is like voting for the set list in real time and based on the votes. And I think they have like some visuals of like how the voting's going, and then the songs keep coming in, and then the animation's just like la 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 la. So the crowd is like puppeting this insane visual experience now through voting. Which is sort of
but I mean that's novel, and that would probably be entertaining to see, I think. And I'd probably pay $50 to go see some wild technology being flexed like that, just because where else are you going to see that?
Yeah, exactly. And then that just sort of brings up: is AI going to be so insanely good, and are people going to even care because they're just going for entertainment? And if they have some kind of agency or voting control, or they feel like they're engaged, is that enough? And does it matter that there's no like actual human controlling it anymore? I think we're entering that I think this show was like an example of where it could be going for some people, some people, and then there's going to be the total revolt against it of people that are like, I'm only going to go to shows that are just strictly instruments, and there might be this like diversion of audience. And then I feel like we're in the middle. We're like half instrumentalists and half tech, and half electronic music. So we're sort of, it's interesting time.
What's your favorite show that you've ever been to? Like you went to it and you're like, holy shit, like that just changed my life. That gave me like that was the best experience I've ever had. That was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Like what show was that for you?
It's a good question. I mean, as far as like a good live show experience that's just fucking wild and awesome is the Flaming Lips. Have you ever seen the Flaming Lips or any video of them?
No, I have not. I've not. I don't really know much about them. I know that they like exist, but I don't
Yeah.
know anything about them.
I recommend like just like googling a live show. They just like do you remember Beats Antiques Inflatables and stuff?
Yes.
I think that's even where we might have gotten the idea, is that they had these giant inflatable things behind them, and then they have all these people on the stage and confetti, and then the lead singer would get inside the giant ball and go walk on the audience, you know? It's like so immersive and so wild and such a crazy party. That was really fun. And then like who else was really influential? Like seeing bands like Primus and Fish. I grew up in Burlington, Vermont, where Fish came from. So in high school, I was going to Fish shows and taking mushrooms for the first time, and like just being immersed in this crowd that was so in the music with this band that was improvising and doing this sort of like wild journeys, the psychedelic journeys of like the jam scene, early Grateful Dead shows. There's just such a vibe there with the audience and the band, which is hard to replicate, or not hard to replicate, or just meaning it's a different exchange than like electronic music. Although I love like just insane electronic production and just immersive shows, like, you know, seeing Tipper was always influential. And just I mean our West Coast scene, man, like we have a lot of great friends. Just some of those festivals in Australia, man, some of those bush doofs, like just get like whenever the crowd is in it, and and you can feel like there's, you know how you're at a show and there's like this spectating vibe where everyone's just sort of like watching, and sort of like this disconnect. Any show that I feel like the audience is like, we're all there, and the drop is heavy, or the jam is fully on, it's like there's these sort of moments where you feel this locking happening with the performer. So there's I think I look more for that than any specific show, and so I feel like I've been able to experience that at a lot of shows. But
so what if I said like, okay, that Flaming Lips show that you were at, right? Well, actually, that was all just like Boston Dynamics robots skinned up, and AI was controlling all of them. And the ball that the guy that was in the ball, that was actually just like a really crazy robot. And the whole show was actually just AI generated and then hooked up to Boston Dynamics robots, and that's what you saw. And the crowd was equally as locked in because they also didn't know that was robots. If I told you that now and you knew that I wasn't lying, you're like, yeah, actually, fair. Like I Googled it and that's true. Would you feel any different about that show, or would you still appreciate that experience just as much as if it had been the actual Flaming Lips?
yeah, that is a good question. I think what is that called? I feel like we're getting towards the moment of the Turing test, right? Have you heard of the Turing test?
Yeah, this would be kind of like a live show Turing test. I think the actual Turing test is just like if you can create a language robot that can speak to a human, and the human can't tell that they're speaking to a robot, then that would be passing the Turing test. But from what I don't know, if I think we're already past that. I think the Turing test is done.
Yeah, I think, but just recently, right? Like we've just recently come through the Turing test, or we're in it. We're in, like it's a. I feel like when you're scrolling through your phone and you like see someone, you're like, is that AI, or I can't tell, and you're like, oh God. So to answer your question, if I was like still blown away by the performance, and I knew that someone probably put hours of their life and their artistry in directing that.
Well, let's say that they didn't. Like, let's say it was totally AI generated. Like, nobody put any time into it. Some venue was just like, oh, we want to make a ton of money. We know the Flaming Lips have a lot of fans. We're just going to like AI generate a Flaming Lips show and let it go. So the artistry, I suppose the artistry that someone has put into it would be the data that AI show was trained on. So it would have been trained on actual Flaming Lips performances in the past. But
right.
Yeah.
I guess if I didn't know going into it, I would be like, that was an amazing show. And then someone told me after. So I think this is a really interesting thing, right? Where someone doesn't like something because they ethically have a predisposition to liking that thing because it's artificial or not, and that taints their experience. I try not to have that, right? I try to be like, that was fucking epic. And I guess that was robots and AI, but that was still out of control and amazing. And so I personally would still be able to and be entertained and enjoy it and be like, that was pretty cool. And then part of me would have, I think, an issue with understanding what that means as a human right now in the time we're in. And I think that's what a lot of people are grasping with or struggling with, is letting themselves be able to enjoy that despite how awesome it is, right? Like, this sort of, goes into like playing on, like messing around on Suno. Like I've messed around on Suno and been fully blown away and impressed and been like, this is amazing. And then part of me is like, I don't know if I should be touching this this demon. What demons am I unleashing, or is this good or bad? Or, so I would just say we're in a massive transition, and people are constantly going back and forth of like appreciating and not appreciating using AI for certain things and then not for other things. And AI is okay for this. AI is not okay for this. And I think we're just like in this massive reckoning, like a spiritual reckoning of it. Is it okay or is it not? Have you messed with Suno, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I've messed with it. So my thought on pretty much AI across the board is that it's insanely good at stuff that I am not an expert on. But as soon as I fuck with it for something that I am an expert on, I'm like, wow, this thing is super dumb. It seems like it's super generalized to know a little bit about everything. But the things that I know like a ton about, like music production, for example, whenever I ask it questions, I'm like, wow, this thing knows nothing. But if I ask it something about, I don't know, like agriculture or like planting, like I planted an avocado tree recently, I asked it a bunch of questions on that, and everything it said, I was like, wow, I didn't know that. That's a good point. Like,
yeah.
But if I ask it on like, oh, like I want to build a plugin or something that like has a bunch of bandpass filters and it delays like all these parts of the FFT like separately and all this, it'll like come back with the responses where I'm like, okay, clearly it does not know what it's talking about. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it right now. It's the same with Suno. Like if I go to Suno, to answer your question more directly, whenever I try to get it to generate like really solid electronic beats that I would actually like, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cheesy and trash. But if I try to get to generate something that I'm not an expert on, like classical music or like solo piano pieces, I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. Like this is decent. But I'm sure if I showed that to like a classical connoisseur, they'd be like, no, this is trash.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, that's interesting. I agree with you. There are certain things that it's still, but I feel like we're only a couple of years.
The things that it's not good at are the things that you probably know a lot about, right?
Sort of. I mean, I will say, like, I've typed into it like African, like traditional North African music fused with like EDM, trip hop, like glitch hop, and it makes amazing stuff. I'm like, wow, the amount of time it would have taken me to get something even close to that as a concept or a sketch would have been days, to get close to it. Of course, there's something about me making that would have been very different and more personal and more signature of who I am, which I think is super crucial. But it still was able to create some. Have you messed with the weirdness fader on it?
Yes.
So the weirdness fader, I think, creates some pretty wild stuff, and I've been actually pretty impressed with like glitch. I put in glitch hop and stuff, and like dubstep, and I'm like, wow, that's the amount of time that would have taken me to do that is insane, and the ability. How I look at it now, as far as a tool, is like if I have an idea and I'm just I've taken my dog for a walk, I'll sing an idea into it, like ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-doo, ding, 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 which would take me like hours to like get on an instrument and like figure it out and then record it and then have to program the beats to it, which is, still the art of making it. But I love it for being able to come up with an idea to see if I like that idea. Does that make sense? And then,
yeah, it's like a demoing tool.
Exactly. I think it's a really like a safe way to use it right now, and like safe, whatever that means, for me, is to try things and then be like, "Ooh, I like that combination," or I wouldn't have thought of that build or that way. And then I look at that, I'm like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna remake my version of that," because I do think it's sort of a gray area as far as copyright and all that, of just literally using that audio right now. I don't feel good about that, like using a drum beat from Suno, but I'll be like, oh, that was cool. I'll make something like that because I came up with that concept, But
yeah, I agree. I've had a lot of experiences with it where I will create some sort of drop or something, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what it would sound like if this was a house beat instead, or like what if this, let me just see what it can come up with, and then listen to a bunch of ideas and be like, oh yeah, that's like actually it's kind of interesting. I've had that same experience too, where it's like kind of it comes up with like some, obviously you can't think of everything all the time or you would go insane, and so it's good at like throwing things out there where your brain probably just wouldn't have gone. But then there comes the question of like, well, if you would have never thought of that and you're only thinking of it now because Suno gave it to you, like, is that a problem?
Oh, you're saying is it like all the ideas that are is it a problem that you have all these ideas that you're able to check out with AI?
Well, I mean, so like I feel like once you get to some point with music production, I think we're there now, where like back in the day, it was kind of like I would be impressed by someone's snare sound or something because I'd be like, wow, how'd they make that snare? You can't get that from a pack. Now these days you can get every snare from any pack. Like it's at this point, there is no shortage of like good sounding like perfectly produced drums or good sounding perfectly produced Serum presets. Like everything is like out there, so the only thing that's really left is the ideas. Like we're kind of over the like sound design part. I mean, we still do it because we love it, but you don't really need it anymore. Like you could just go to Splice and just grab a bunch of stuff and arrange it in some way. So the only thing that's actually left, I think, is like the arrangement and the ideas, and that seems to be part of what Suno is solving. And so it's kind of taking that away too. It's like now we're not only going to not need sounds because we have all those, but we're also not going to need arrangement ideas because we're going to have all those too.
Yeah, right. And then at the end of the day, it comes down to like what is working and what is novel and what's interesting, because the next generation, because again, I feel like this comes down to like, what are the kids how are the 15-year-olds growing up, and how are they using this, and what do they care about? I've heard other things, like some of these kids are like throwing away their smartphones, and there is like a little revolt against tech because they're sort of overwhelmed with it. But then there's going to be, I'm just really interested to see how it plays out with the kids that are going to be using it and what becomes popular. And have you heard about the new AI labeling on Spotify? They're going to have like human, like you're going to actually get human certified.
I did see that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, that there's going to be a fork in the road of like you're going to see who's using Suno, because I think the issue with using audio from AI is that there's meta tags, like sonic frequency tags, that are hard to I think even if you pitch shift it, they're still there, that you can't lose. So they're going to be able to start dissecting what was made with AI and what was not. But yeah, I guess sorry, your question, or not what was your last question? I just went on a little rant there.
Oh, it wasn't really a question. I was just
Yep.
saying that, like, I've, like, just in my lifetime, we've gone from needing to be really good at sound design and needing to make all of the sounds from scratch, as well as arranging the song. And now the only thing that's left is arranging the song, because all of the sounds already exist. And Suno is almost solving that last problem, to where
Right.
you could be producing a song yourself, like still be hands-on, but still all of the problems are kind of solved for you, and it's just a matter of clicking a few buttons to kind of put it all together.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a problem or if that's a good thing, because I mean, if you look at what happened with sound design stuff, is now you're getting these like crazy combinations where people are doing stuff like putting a SARS with an electronic beat with a dubstep bass and with, like, you know, folk vocals or something like this. Whereas if like, how would you even do that in like the 50s or the 60s or whatever? You could probably get the SARS part down, but like, how are you going to do the dubstep bass and the whatever else? And like, you would need to have cultural knowledge of all of these things happening and whatnot. Plus you would have to make all of the sounds, which were really hard to make back then. But now we're getting these like crazy fusions because all of these things are so freely available, and the accessibility is so good. And so the other place my mind goes is that, well, if you can make any song in a second, then maybe we're just going to get these like insane mashups of genres where like each song is kind of like every genre in one almost.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more like time effective to even think of doing that. Like, it might still take you the same amount of time to make a song that it did before, but now you can put way more into each song. Like, you can put 100 years worth of production into each song, which might make extremely good songs. It might make extremely bad songs, or people might not do it at all. But
yeah, no, I think that brings up a excuse me. That brings up a point of like, are we headed towards like smaller and smaller attention spans, right? And then people and kids listening to music with 5-second, 10-second, 15-second attention spans. So maybe the music is going to start being altered into these little, very like, so much information into smaller periods of time, right? It's sort of like these. I feel like that is happening with our attention. It's basically based on like social media's influence and just getting people for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and you're lucky if you get them for 20 seconds or 30 seconds. So how is the music and AI going to be influential with getting these sort of peak moments for people, these dopamine hits through the music? And yeah, are people going to care or even know if it's AI? And I think, again, we're in this like massive transition or awaken, like reckoning of like how people morally feel about it on so many levels, right? It's like, if you're listening to AI music, does that mean you support data centers? You know, and like, are there going to be like ethical, you know, lines in the sand for people that are like, well, I don't listen to that, or I won't listen to that, even though I think it's good, or I don't even know it's AI. But now that I know it's AI, I won't listen to it, even if I liked it, because of the amount of water and power it's taking and starting a surveillance state from, who am I supporting by using AI, you know?
Yeah, and also with the like dopamine stuff, I feel like we're seeing some issues with that already, right? Where like, 5 out of 10 people now seem to have ADHD or autism or depression or something like that, which, could be caused by this constant feeding of dopamine. And then all of a sudden your brain is overloaded with this stuff and you're like, wow, I feel depressed and anxious and can't concentrate on anything. And I've seen that in myself a lot, actually.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
over the years, just like I have way less attention now than I used to,
yeah.
and I in general feel more depressed than I used to, more
Mm.
anxious than I used to. Yeah, it's not good. It could just be getting older too, but I think it's related to the dopamine overloads that we're getting.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Yeah, the doom scroll is real, and people, yeah. How are we getting? I think we're again like we're in an experiment, and we're gonna see backlash to it, and I think we are with people wanting to get the good thing about our profession is that I think people are gonna there is going to be a resurgence of in real life experiences. Like people are going to want to get together because they are feeling so disconnected by being addicted to their phone and realizing that they haven't hung out with their friends in like a week because they've been on their phone and they felt some sort of artificial satisfaction of connection and as opposed to being around people in their backyard having food and going out to a show together and what that brings to people's lives as opposed to looking at people doing that on their phone. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's what when is the I think we're in it. I think we're in the point where people are wanting to go out, turn off their phones, events that make people put their phones in those bags that they can't really communicate with or whatever they're called. Anyways, yeah, man. But it's crazy though. I'm also excited about elements of AI. Like I was able to vibe code a music app that takes a sequencer and turns it into visuals on Claude and watch it work in a browser. And it had a cool GUI. And I was like, oh my God, I could publish this app like in a couple days if I wanted to and have it on iOS on an iPhone in a second, like it's just going to be such a flood of music and art and ideas that I think it's exciting and overwhelming. And who knows, man, where are we going?
Yeah, it's almost like a creativity inflation. Like there's just going to be so much of it that overall it gets devalued because it's not rare at all. It's so prevalent, which is kind of what we've seen already, but it'll probably be worse.
Yeah, like the sheer like flood of information is going to be overwhelming to people that I think in a way it's sort of like it's going to make people I think it's going to push artists into new directions that are people who are creators and that have been artists and content creators for a long time or not even a long time. Just if you are making art now, you sort of are pushed to do stuff that has not been done before because the AI is just regurgitating our collective, brain from thousands and thousands of years, and it's creating new stuff. But people want to feel a home and a connection back to a person. So I feel like if you can do that, you're gonna still be able to capture people's hearts.
Yeah, possibly. Well, let's talk about something a little less dark.
Yeah.
There's something that I was reading about yesterday called Sunrise Studios Collective. What is this?
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, there's a little glimmer in the craziness. Yeah, so I guess like during COVID, or before COVID, I went to this festival called Leaf Festival in North Carolina, and they put on a festival in the spring and in the fall. And they're an amazing community out of North Carolina, and they support global exchange and global music exchange. They bring kids from like Haiti, they bring kids from like Uganda and Tanzania to the festival. And I was just really amazed with their project, and they have they have a project called One Mic, and it's about getting one microphone into people's hands and a computer and a sound card. And I was just blown away with that idea. And I worked with the woman, started a new nonprofit called Sunrise Studios Collective. And it's a little mouthful, but the idea is we supply basic equipment. Like this microphone was, this, what is this called again? The SM7B, the super popular podcast microphone. We got donated like 8 of these to go to studios in Africa and all over the world. Long story short, we help. Sunrise Studios Collective is a nonprofit that builds recording studios around the world and connects youth with opportunity through technology to build multimedia centers. We've built 2 solar-powered recording studios in refugee camps, and one refugee camp called Kakuma Refugee Camp in Kenya, which is one of the biggest refugee camps in Africa. So these are people living in like really small, like makeshift huts and like, refugee camp style living with a full solar powered studio. We got them laptops, mics, and they're building gardens around their studio, and like we're helping them with agriculture as well. So yeah, it's been a super inspiring project. It's been a labor of love for 4 years, and we're about to do a big fundraiser launching next week or this week. But yeah, that's been my passion, is to like, I feel that I've been influenced a lot by other cultures, and sort of a way for me to give back to them. Like I've been influenced by their melodies and their traditions. And then, so I'm like, hey, I'm a producer. Maybe I can give opportunity to help bring opportunity to some of these kids in these places. So, yeah.
Do you know of Mulatu at Startkey?
No.
He's like this Ethiopian jazz. I think he plays the marimba or the xylophone. It's so fucking good. It's like my favorite my favorite like African music, I guess. It's like it's jazz meets like Ethiopian culture. It's really good.
Cool.
But yeah, we need more Mulatus, in my opinion.
Yeah, send me a link. I'd love to check it out. We're working with like this amazing ethnomusicologist, this guy out of Pakistan who's working with all these old guys, recording them. He has a label, and we're trying to raise money for him to build a studio in Pakistan, like in remote Pakistan, with all these like guys that are in their 70s and like that. He's like recording them, and just so a lot of it is sort of like music preservation for these sort of traditions that are hopefully not going to die out, but are looking like they're not being preserved, So how do we create studios and opportunity for these young kids to like work with these older musicians? And, like how do we're trying to bring studios to Native American reservations in the U.S. We have one studio in Pine Ridge, which is in South Dakota. It's a radio station that we support and got microphones for. Yeah, man. We just, I'm just a lover of culture and traditions from around the world. So we're just trying to Sunrise, the group I'm working with. We have a great crew of people that are just trying to keep people supported.
What is the logistics of a business like? Well, I guess not a business, it's like more of a nonprofit. But how does it even work? Like, how do you like raise money to buy gear for these people? And then how do you decide on like what that money you raised is going to support? And how do you decide like what gear to buy for them and this kind of stuff? Like, how's all of that work?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We have a basic form, like a new studio form on our website. So it's just a series of like basic questions, like what's your project about? How long have you been doing it? What do you need? And then based on how they fill that out, then we do an interview with them and we meet them. And we're like bootstrapping it right now. We're about to do a big fundraiser. But we've been lucky over the years to get some bigger funders, and then we take that money and we divide it into sort of micro grants. And then, we give people from like $1,000 to like up to $10,000 of like based on what their needs are. And then what we try to do is not, instead of give them like a lump sum of money, we try to get them the equipment. So, cause we gotta be careful about like, does the equipment get to them? Is someone gonna like steal it once it gets there? Like, we've had a camera get stolen in the camp, so we're supplying like video cameras, computers, microphones, basically microphones, sound cards, and computers are the basic thing, because right nowadays, like, it's so like you don't need a lot to create. So, but just getting them these basics is still, a lot.
And are you shipping the computers with software on them?
Yeah, we want to get deeper into that. Ableton did give us some licenses in Africa. We worked with Africa rep, and we got Ableton on some computers, but a lot of them have Logic. We want to like start working with Apple and try to get Logic on a bunch, because a lot of them use Logic, a lot of them use different softwares. My goal is to try to like get them on Ableton, because that's what I know, and that's a slower process. But majority of them, they are able to get the software. But we're still working on relationships with software. But right now, we've been majority just equipment and computers and hardware, and then now we're getting more into software, which would be good to get sort of dialed and have like. What we want to do is like get people like you to like jump on an hour long Zoom, because we do these Zoom sessions once a month with these studios. It's really cool, man. Like having like, we have like sometimes 20 people on the Zoom call, and they all talk, and they're all like on their cell phones and like talking to us and giving us updates and sharing resources, and sharing, and some of them are starting to do collabs with each other. And so
yeah, I'd love to do that.
Cool, man. Well, I could put you down on, that'd be great. Just get some people in our community to start teaching what they know.
Yeah, you've done a bit of stuff in Africa, right? I read somewhere that you helped organize a West African tour with Aphrodisia and the African Showboys, and that ended up happening at the Shrine in Lagos. How was that?
Yeah, man, it was an insane journey. I mean, in the early mid 2000s, I was in a band called Aphrodisia, which is like a 10 to 12 piece Afrobeat band from San Francisco. And we met these guys, the African Showboys, at a festival in California, and there were these three brothers from northern Ghana, and we were just so captivated by these guys that they're like, yeah, come to Africa. And I was like, okay. And they were like, I didn't think you guys would take us up on that. And I flew out to Ghana and stayed in their village with Napoleon, the leader of the African Showboys. And I just sort of sussed it all out. And I was like, okay. There was like this. So over in Africa, there's these relationships with these cultural centers, and this Alliance Française, this parrot, like French-based cultural program. We got in touch with them through them, and they were able to get these venues for us. So we pieced together this small tour, and then I flew back. I told the band, I was like, we can do this. And then we all flew out on our own dime, and we paid for it. It was like we paid for the flight. And I flew my friend out, Zach Carson, and he helped tour manage it. And this is like in my mid 20s, and it was just a wild journey, man. And we got a bus. We like got this guy named Chambas, and he was our bus driver, and he had a machete. And we were just like got everybody on the bus and the African Showboys, and we had a tour through Ghana, Benin, Togo, and then while we were there, I was in a internet cafe trying to book the tour, or trying to like set something out. and this guy overheard me talking because I wanted to go to Nigeria, which is totally insane to like drive to Nigeria in a bus. Excuse me. And he was like, "Oh, I know Femi Kuti, and I'll put you in touch." And so he literally, this guy next to me ended up being like an old school epic saxophone player from the 70s, named Julius, I forget his name right now, but he was actually a pretty prominent musician in the Afrobeat scene. He put us in touch with Femi Kuti, and I called him up, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you're an Afrobeat band from America, and you're in a bus. Come down to Nigeria. I'll give you 2 nights at the Shrine, which is like Femi Kuti's shrine in Lagos, Nigeria, which is like, Fela Kuti, his father's like tradition of like keeping this epic club going called the Shrine." And we drove into Nigeria, and it was the wildest experience, man. Like, just like guys with machine guns with their eyes all blazed out on like high on weed, like being like, what are you doing in here? Like we're like in the back of the bus, just being like, we're just here to play music. And they're like, okay, cool.
Damn.
And we drove into Nigeria and did 2 nights with Femi at the Shrine, like the home of Afrobeat. And it was wild, man. We had a great time. I have a little video I made of some of the footage we were able to keep. We lost some cameras along the way, and it was a wild journey, man. But yeah, super. I got malaria and like fell into a coma and almost died when I got back. Yeah, dude.
You literally fell into a coma?
Yeah, dude. It was a long story, but I wasn't able to take my malaria pills. I like forgot them in my luggage, and I had them, and I like took the wrong bag, and so I got there and I was like, oh man, I don't have my malaria pills. And I got malaria, but I got cerebral malaria, which goes straight to your brain, which is like a rarer kind of malaria. Like normal malaria other people got, and you just get really sick and you feel like really gnarly, but you come through. But this, like, I got it, and when I got back, I went to the doctors in the US, and they're like, "Oh, you're fine," even though I was super sick. They just didn't know how to to test for this kind of malaria. And then luckily, I got a friend to take me to the hospital, and then that night I fell into a coma, and like it was out for a week. So
Jesus,
yeah, it was an amazing journey, and like totally insane, and I almost died.
Fucking hell.
But I've gone back, I've gone back to Africa. It didn't stop me. And ended up recently just going there and recording in 2018 with View Farkatori in Mali. And we have a song for Sunrise Studios we're working on with him that we just released. Yeah, man. Africa is a amazing, beautiful place. And remember to bring your malaria pills.
Can't you? I think you can just get shots before you go for that stuff, right? Or do you still need the pills?
I don't know. That I think the medication might have changed recently for malaria. I mean, I haven't. Yeah, that's so funny. I don't even know. Did I even take malaria pills when I went back to? I didn't think I had to for Mali. There was because I was in the city. Like there wasn't like a high risk, but yeah, I bet. I don't know. You just find out if you're about to travel there.
Damn, it's so funny that you were like kind of lackadaisical about it the second time after falling into a coma the first time. You're like, do I even need my pills or something?
Do I even need my No, I think I had malaria pills when I was there. I'm remembering now. Yeah, I did.
All right, I gotta. Sorry, go on.
No, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say I got a couple more questions for you before we wrap up. What's something that you believe now that you didn't believe like 20 years ago?
Ooh.
Or something that you used to believe 20 years ago that you don't believe now? Might be a better one.
Well, something I believe now that I didn't believe is that this life is life is a journey and a musical experience, and it's a playful thing, and we're not supposed to take it too seriously. Like, I think when I was younger, I was so like, I need to succeed or I need to get to a certain place, and then I'll be satisfied. Where now I'm more like, am I in a good place? Am I healthy? Am I in good relationships with the people around me? Am I enjoying my life as opposed to getting somewhere, So
Mm.
it was more of like not being so concerned with getting to a certain place, but being present. And I think that has maybe a lot to do with, I have a kid now. I have a 2-year-old daughter, so being a father really taps me into like, oh wow, this is like, it's all about the moment, and it's really amazing to be there with
Mm.
them and not having like an end game as opposed to like an energy of play and enjoying playing. Because yeah, if you're just sort of working hard and not enjoying what you're doing, no matter where you go, no matter whether you succeed or whether you fail, like if you're not enjoying what's happening, and I think it has a lot to do with thinking. Do I need to succeed right now? Do I have to be this thing I think I'm supposed to be? Or I can project that or have an idea of where I want to go, but just like, yeah, just really enjoying the journey as opposed to the end game.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And my
Yeah.
last question is, where do you see yourself at 80? Are you still going to be making music, or what do you think your end goal is for that?
Yeah, man. I hope to always be making music. I have a dream to like write for like a big orchestra. I had small experience. I've had experiences of writing a piece and being in a room with like a full piece string section and all that stuff. So I definitely want to keep writing music and being creative because I feel like that gives me the most joy. I hope to be like around grandkids and making music with my grandkids. That's what I hope to be at that
Mm,
age. Yeah.
nice. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Where should people go to find you?
Yeah, man. I have a website, davidsatori.com. I need to update that. But you can find me on Instagram, David Satori. You can follow my Spotify because I did take 2 years off from touring and I just worked on my solo stuff and released a bunch of collabs, and I want to continue that. But yeah, check out David Satori on Spotify. Check out Dirtwire. Dirtwire is like the been my focus and where I've been putting a lot of energy into musically, and then as far as like my other stuff, like Beats Antique is definitely a massive part of who I am, and I hope to be. We have released an album this past year, and we're still working on music together. So look at Beats Antique. I'm just not touring with them now because it's too much to tour with 2 bands and a family. So focusing on
Mm,
Dirtwire. But yeah, David Satori, Beats Antique, Dirtwire, and Sunrise Studios Collective. If you want to get involved, check out that. It's srstudios.org. srstudios.org, and you can look up Sunrise Studios Collective on Instagram and stuff. But yeah, brother, thank you, Mr. Bill, for creating this channel and these conversations. I've been loving checking out all the stuff you've been putting out lately, man. So respect.
yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.